Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Going Off Track podcast. I'm Catherine, that's Emily, and it's finally race week again.
It's Spa!
Everyone's favorite race where someone from Alpine gets fired.
I was going to say it's everyone's favorite race unless you're a team principal from Alpine, but I don't think they'll have that issue this year, which is really unfortunate. But you never know.
You do never know. There could still be somebody who does get let go from Alpine, so we're gonna see what happens. It would not surprise me if there's something that goes down this weekend. Full transparency, we are recording this on Monday going into race week because I am about to embark on a journey into the wilderness with a bunch of my nearest and dearest favorite teenagers. So when you are watching this, I will have just returned to camp and I will probably be asleep by the time this episode comes out.
Go team.
Go team. Yeah.
Spa. What a classic race. Okay, I know we've talked about what would our dream schedule be. Whoever ever takes Spa off the calendar, they will forever be on my shit list. I love Spa.
Yeah, and the problem is Spa tends to be one of those races that is at risk of being dropped from the calendar, and I don't like that. And it's because it's historic, but also it's it gives us great racing. And yes, there was that one year where they only did 2 racing laps and they were both behind the safety car and it was George's first podium and it was weird. But by and large, we do get some of our most exciting racing out of Spa.
We do. I mean, this is one of the OG tracks. It's one of the originals, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been on the calendar forever.
It's just, it's so good and it's beautiful. We get exciting racing. I don't know. Every time we get to Spa, I get excited for some reason. So.
Right. So before we dive in, we do have there have been lots of bits of news over the last couple of weeks. See also Christian Horner, something happened to him. But the news that we have had since, the one thing that has popped up is that there have been rumors that Cadillac is on the verge of announcing their first driver for 2026. Emily is thrilled.
I honestly, it's not even that it's potentially Checo. I just love how they've been teasing this inch by, painstaking inch. It's right. Oh, there's a potential that maybe in the near future, potentially, maybe, kind of, we're not sure.
Well, I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little less than that, and it's a little bit more of we're getting rumors of a specific race that it is coming to, and Hungary is in a couple of weeks, so it's not maybe soon. It's specifically we could see the day after Hungary that they announce that Checo is going to be the first of the Cadillac drivers to be announced for 2026.
And you know what? Good for him. Good for Checo. He can suck at another team. I really don't care. It's this whole idea of the whole season now has turned into a silly season of who's driving where. It's so obnoxious. I understand Cadillac's hype. I personally think they had a missed opportunity recognizing Miami is very early in the season, but they had this huge launch party. It would have been great on the heels of that or concurrently to be oh, and by the way, here are our drivers. Recognize they want to see how this season is going. Not everyone is probably performing to what they thought they would. And now they're going to, Valtteri Bottas is rumored. Checo is guaranteed at this point from all of the rumors swirling. Mick Schumacher's name has been dropped. Felipe Drogovic, which I can never pronounce his name ever. They've also been rumored. There's some, reserve and junior drivers as well. But if they did this right, they would have been boom, Miami, here's our cars, here's our drivers, get hype for the whole year.
Right. Instead of if they're going to do something, it needs to be a thing.
And I understand they're doing it, again, to see performance of this year, potentially wanting to sign current drivers, but I don't know. They're dragging it out.
What's interesting to me is that the shortlist includes, the Checo, Schumacher, Bottas. We know that those drivers have been on the shortlist for a while. Those make sense. Drogovic, Vesti, and Arvid Lindblad, who's the Red Bull junior that just made his practice debut, I get the idea that they want to potentially do one veteran driver and one driver that is probably a young fostered talent, but I don't necessarily think that that's their best bet going into their first season. Just I think that they would want to start strong with a more veteran pairing. And so the last three names on that list, Dragovic, Vesti, Lindblad, those kind of stood out to me as like, are you just saying that to like try to throw people off what your real shortlist is?
In that grouping, right? Because he's had what, 2 seasons in Formula One. I wouldn't necessarily call him a veteran. Now, I do think the Schumacher name is very big and like Americans recognize it, right? This is an American team. As much as Haas says they're an American team, like they're basically Ferrari.
They're an Italian team in an American hat.
This is like American team. They wanted the recognition. Checo is from Mexico. You have the North American ties. Also, Checo's just very popular as a driver. I think the Schumacher name is very popular. So I think, like, yes, I could see that. But if you want to go with true talent and, like, proven talent, I think you go Valtteri and Checo. But yeah, I will caveat that Mick Schumacher has done a lot to put into the Mercedes car. Like, he did a ton of testing. He gives good feedback. You know, Toto picked him up for a reason to help with all of that, to help on race weekends and with setups and stuff. But I could also see the argument for that. Like, he's a very smart driver, so I think they could potentially go that way. Because building a team, you need people you can rely on. And I think Haas learned that, like, the hard way when they went to rookies.
Yeah, like there wasn't the best opportunity, because not only was it 2 rookies, it was 2 rookies in a bad car. So there really was no helping Schumacher. And like, I can see that very similar to Zhou Guanyu, he really got the short end of the stick because his entire career was at Alfa Romeo Stake, which was a turtle all the way until Nico Hulkenberg managed to pull out a miracle at Silverstone 3 weeks ago.
I think that's what I'm just going to refer to it from now on. The miracle at Silverstone.
The miracle. Yeah. So it'll be.
Someone got 3rd place.
We are really excited about 3rd place. And yes, actually, very exciting. So it'll be very interesting to see, if these rumors about Hungary end up being true. I can totally see it happening, especially as we get to, the verge of the summer break. But I'm really, like, Checo does make sense. I'm really curious to see who that second driver is. And of course, they're like, well, what about an American driver for an American team? And there are no good American drivers ready. No, I remember around Miami, James Vowles did an interview where he was asked about an American driver, since they had Logan Sargent. They're like, what does the landscape look like for the next American driver? And James Vowles said something about how there is someone in like the junior echelons of the Williams Junior program that is American, who's like 11 years old. So, and that, I think that like that's the closest next best opportunity we're going to see of like an American driver who's going to be ready, because the IndyCar drivers have the issue of IndyCar not giving the same amount of super license points compared to other motorsport events that give larger amounts, especially F3 and F2. So it will be a while before we see an American, and I really don't know if we're going to see some of those best of the best guys from the States or Mexico or those big names in IndyCar. I don't see them jumping to F1, especially not at, say, Cadillac.
No, I completely agree. All in all, I just want them to come out with it, and it's going to really grind my gears if they're like, here's Checo after Hungary. And now we're just going to, like, keep fluffing all of this magic, and you can wait. Like, I, again, understand they need to see drivers this season. However, it's really annoying. As a fan.
Yeah. The whole, like, everything with, the Max side of things, which we touched on in our Christian Horner episode, which is linked above, so you can, get more of our thoughts there. But the Max questions, the Yuki questions, all of the rookie drivers who are on single-year contracts, there's so many more questions. We're really going to get a lot more clarity after the summer break, or during the summer break. Hopefully they'll do what Carlos Sainz did last year and just announce it quick, and then we'll have 3 weeks off to recover from everything. But it will be very interesting to see how the grid is going to shake out, because it could have the potential to look extremely different from this year to next year.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's get into Spa weekend. So looking at what happened last year, it's so funny because in my mind, Lewis Hamilton had horrible last few seasons at Mercedes and did absolutely nothing. But then it's like, oh yeah, he won at Silverstone and he also won at Spa. So it's like,
but he didn't win at Spa. He was given the trophy at Spa de facto because his teammate at the time was underweight. Which also, can we talk about it? How funny it is that George Russell, who is one of the tallest drivers on the grid, got caught being underweight. Like that's something that you see from like a driver who's closer to my height.
He's like,
he is a twig.
Super skinny.
Yeah, and they didn't counterbalance the car to make up for the fact that, you know, he didn't have an extra, you know, chicken tender that morning. But his, like, he drove a flawless one-stop race that got completely erased by the fact that the team screwed up.
Well, or he did. He should have eaten his extra tendy.
The team did. The team did admit. I had to look at my notes from last year.
Moment, so George I know.
Yes,
no, also
it's
say
George's fault
podium,
too.
Yes, but also say podium will look very different this year. Lewis, Oscar, Charles. I do not see that happening.
No.
Very different look at Spa this year. Also, not at Spa this year. Christian Horner.
That is correct. This is going to be, for the first time in 20 years, Red Bull will not have Christian Horner starting the race from the garage, sitting on the pit wall. He will not be here, and it will be the team principal debut at Red Bull for Laurent Mekies.
We shall see how that goes. I'm honestly anxious to see how it goes. I don't think it. I already can tell that Max is going to be yelling on the radio the entire race.
I mean, Max is just, we're gonna have one of those like miserable Max pictures that looks like something out of like the Renaissance era paintings, like we had at Silverstone with all of the media surrounding him. We're gonna have another one of those of Max unless he can like weasel his way out of any and every media duty possible. So it's going to be, I don't necessarily think we're going to see an immediate impact of, you know, all of a sudden they're going to like tumble down and not be able to qualify or, you know, do anything, fight their way out of a paper bag. I don't think we're going to see that immediately based off Christian Horner not being there. I think that the capable people who are still there, Hannah Schmitz, the head of engineering, GP, Max's race engineer, the Max's side of the garage, I think is going to be okay. It's really going to be a question of how are they going to be able to continue developing the car and having that leadership to direct the team to a direction that gives them more success than they have been seeing the first half of the year.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Also exciting for this weekend. But I say exciting, but also kind of scary because I don't like when there's rain at Spa, but we potentially have rain at Spa.
Yeah, there's rain in the forecast all weekend long. As obviously, as we've said, it's Monday. So when this episode comes out, go to the Google and Google Spa-Francorchamps weather to see what the update of the weather forecast is looking like. But considering the time of year, the location, and the fact that we typically do get rain at Spa, we can expect rain this weekend at Spa, even 5 days out of the forecast.
Which is always scary. Spa rain weekends scare me. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want us to have another one of those the parade from, I think it was 2022, where it was 2 laps under the safety car. But I also don't I do think that if we have that, the race will just get scuttled. I don't think they'll do that again. I think that Rui Marquez, the race director, will not have another one of the situations that they went through with. I think that was back in the Michael Massey era, aka no Michael, no, this is so not right. My favorite quote from Toto Wolff. But yeah, we will have rain. That will probably lead to a mixed up grid. Obviously, that's what gave Nico Hulkenberg his success at Silverstone was. Right. Because there was weather. So the weather could make for another really interesting podium result, qualifying grid, all of those things. And I'm excited for that, at least.
Me too. So with that, let's get into our predictions of the podium for Spa 2025. Catherine, who is your pole sitter?
I have had a brain that is fried like Swiss cheese, which I know doesn't make any sense, but that's where my brain is. So my brain went the easy route, and I just picked Oscar.
Same, I picked Lando. We're splitting the difference between the McLarens again.
Which is exactly what is to be expected from A, us, and B, from the way that qualifying has worked out, unless Max can pull out a miracle, and we'll see. I mean, it also really is going to depend on how wet it is, and Max might do that thing where we say it's not going to be Max, and then Max pulled out a miracle out of his hat.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, who's your podium?
My podium, I'm going with a podium that I've been pretty solid on. I'm going for an Oscar Lando Max podium.
Yeah, I have Lando Oscar Max, so maybe we'll get points.
I can see that.
Well, yeah, I feel like Lando's gonna get pole because he seems to be doing that lately, and the McLarens are being McLarens.
It's really hard to beat them when they're up in the front.
When they're trying to beat themselves, yeah. And then I have Max coming in at P3.
Yeah, I do think that we'll see either we're going to see one of these typical podiums combinations that we have really been seeing throughout the entire season. It's the new Hambot Ver, but it's either going to be that or it's going to be something completely different, chaotic, based on what happens at qualifying and also what happens on lap 1, which
I know
we can barely predict these things, so we're not even going to try to predict that.
Well, it's going to be, I think it'll be another asterisk weekend of there's inclement weather and that therefore it's all jumbled and it doesn't mean anything. Right. It does, but for us, there's no way we can predict it.
Right. So we'll see.
But we do have one last prediction, which is P10. We pick P10 because it is the last place on the grid where you get points. They get 1 point for P10. We get 3 because it is so incredibly hard to pick this, especially with inclement weather weekends. So with that being said, Catherine, who is your P10?
I went with Yuki. I think that we can thank the weather. It's either going to really help him or really hurt him. I'm going with really help, and so we'll see.
Love that. I have Carlos Sainz, which again, it pains me to pick him as P10, but I feel like that's just where we're at right now. So
yeah, Williams did backtrack a little bit over the last few races. They had a better Silverstone, but still not where we want Williams to be right now because we just really want to see Williams do well.
Agreed. And then just for fun, Catherine and I pick biggest surprise of the weekend and who's going to do a dumb. My surprise of the weekend is that Steak keeps killing it. I'm all on the Steak train now. I love an underdog. I love, the fun story. So here for Hulk, here for Gabby.
That is also my biggest surprise prediction, is that Steak has another solid weekend following Silverstone. I think that especially if we have another case of funky weather, it could be fun for the Hulk. And also I think that it's time for, Bortoletto to take after Hulk and try to replicate some of the things that he's been able to do.
Yeah. Last but not least, who's going to do a dumb. So this does contradict my podium, however.
Okay.
It's okay. The oops of the weekend, the dumb of the weekend is going to be the entire Red Bull family umbrella. All of the teams, all of the people. I think they're coming into this weekend thinking we got rid of Christian, now we're going to do great. And it's not going to be a good weekend. They don't have enough time to gel as new teams because not only did this affect Red Bull, it affect the Racing Bulls, V-Carb, whatever we're calling them these days. I think they're just going to have a lot of issues.
Yeah, I do think that it will negatively impact Racing Bulls more than it is going to have an immediate impact on Red Bull. Like I said earlier, I think that the real question is going to be, will Red Bull be able to continue to develop the car over the latter half of the season to bring more success now? I'm gonna disagree with you on that, and so we'll see if you're right or if I'm right, and how immediate the lack of Christian Horner is going to be felt. I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to look out for. My dumb of the week, on the other hand, is, and when we were talking before the episode, I was like, I don't really know what to do, and I don't want to just do my default of Alpine does something dumb or Ferrari does something dumb. So I went with, we're going to have another, because it's a wet weekend, we're going to have another weekend where the rookie class, by and large, are going to struggle in the wet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think you're right. They don't do well with weather.
No, they don't. So it'll be really very interesting to see if we're going to have the same amount of rookie induced carnage, or if the rookies are going to be able to take what they learned from Silverstone and translate that into the wet weather we're going to see here in Spa.
Yeah, We will see.
Thank you for backing your golf cart out right outside my window as I am trying to record a podcast. That's so nice of you, whoever that was. Maintenance. Thank you, maintenance. We love you. But also you could very easily have driven forward instead of backward.
All in all, I think it'll be a great weekend at Spa. It always provides good racing, like we said at the top of the episode. I'm interested to see how the weather shakes out. It always is interesting on weather weekends for like qualifying and seeing how they set the car up and how the weather is going to turn. I will be watching the weather forecast for the entire week because, again, this is Monday and it is a long time between now and qualifying. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Spa's my favorite race, I think. I think I can say it.
I think so too. I think it's fair. It's one of the more challenging tracks on the calendar, and I think that this is a very intriguing weekend to go into, especially based off, obviously, the news is Christian Horner, and so now we're gonna have Christian Horner plus weather plus everything that happened at Silverstone, and just seeing what teams are going to pick up where they left off or not over this weird little pre-summer break that we've had. So I think that it's going to be a really fun weekend to get us back into the last gasp before we do go into the summer break. Before, I think it's Hungary next and then we go. But I think that it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see racing again, and I'm excited to see the fun type of racing that we get from, saying this to Mother Nature, not too much rain, but enough rain to make it interesting.
Just a little drizzle to challenge the strategists.
Exactly.
Not too much to where it makes it no fun.
Yeah, exactly. So we shall see. And if there's any news that comes up throughout the week that is huge or noteworthy, or Flavio Briatore says something that contradicts something he said 20 minutes ago, we will discuss that in our reaction episode.
Yes, speaking of our recap episode that will be out on Monday, this is it for our Spa predictions. Thanks for going on track with us, guys.